Welcome to the Online Wine Courses podcast. Grab a glass and join us on this journey of wine appreciation and education. Albert Stöckel has all the insider knowledge about wine production in Rioja, and he's here to share it with you.
The production area Rioja is a big wine area. It has roughly 60,000 hectares. With this vineyard surface area, it is not the biggest in Spain. By far, the biggest vineyard surface area we find in the very center of Spain, just south of the capital, Madrid, and the biggest area nearly covers 500,000 hectares, and this is Castilla-La Mancha. Compared to that, Rioja is actually a small wine growing area in Spain. Nevertheless, compared to Austria, it is bigger than all Austrian vineyard areas together, which account for approximately 45,000 hectares. Those 60,000 hectares average an annual yield of 250 million liters. 85% is red wine. The rest is nearly equally divided into white and rosado. The Spanish term for rosé is rosado. The three sub-areas, Rioja Alta, Alavesa, and Rioja Baja, they differ significantly from each other. First of all, because of the weather influence, the closer to the Atlantic coast, the more influence we have from these water masses, and therefore it's a kind of more maritime influenced climate in Rioja Alta. Rioja Baja is more influenced by the Mediterranean, but it is more kind of inside of the country, and therefore the climate can be considered as continental. In terms of size, Rioja Alta is the biggest with about 24,500 hectares. Rioja Alavesa has roughly 12,000, and Rioja Baja approximately 21,000 hectares.
Albert Stöckel tells you interesting facts about wine production in Rioja.
Similar to regulations in France and Italy, also Rioja, as a designated area of origin, has very rigid regulations, laws, and ways which you have to follow in order to be allowed to bring your wine to the market labeled as Rioja. For example, the planting density is defined. Of course, it is defined the maximum yield, so how much you're allowed to harvest per hectare to be able to bring your wine onto the market as Rioja. The grape varietals are defined, so it would not be able, for example, to just plant a vineyard with Merlot or Cabernet and then bring it to the market as a Rioja. Then the vineyard must be registered and appear on the record list of the board. It's like a consortium to protect this designated area of origin, and everything must be recorded there. In which district it finds itself, the location, the surface area, so everything is measured. Then the grape variety is planted there, the year when the vineyards were planted, or the wines in the vineyard were planted, the number of wines in total. So this is a real rigid system that should guarantee that fraud is not possible, and that the designated area of origin is really protected and, as they say, calificada. It's qualified. It's really guaranteed that a wine that says a Rioja on the label is of controlled origin.
Online wine courses. Learn wine online.
Interesting to know, and a little bit specific for a Rioja, is that wine producing companies are separated into different sectors. There are, on the one hand, the growers that produce grapes and then sell it on the local market to aging bodegas, which would then do the wine processing, so the fermentation from the pressing, and then store those wines. Also, cooperatives are defined, so just like elsewhere in France, Austria, and Italy, a cooperative consists of members, and the members, they kind of operate under an umbrella brand, and they also have to follow certain rules, and they are paid off like growers that deliver the grapes in autumn, but they also are kind of self-administered. So each member of a cooperative also has a vote and can therefore decide what happens within the cooperative as a kind of firm. Wine keepers is also a specialty. Those are the ones that store Rioja wines, and aging bodegas, as I said, they may be also wine growers, partly. They may be also wine keepers, partly, but they are defined as the ones that do the wine processing and then the aging. So in this system, there are different categories. All you need to know in order to understand it, that just like in Champagne or also in Bordeaux, it is different than in most regions of Austria, where one winemaker would cover most of these kind of work steps, like growing the grapes, processing the wine, age the wine to a certain degree, and then market it and bring it to the market. In order to be a classified bodega, there are also rules that have to be followed. So they have to have a minimum of 50 oak casks and also a minimum of 22.5 thousand liters of wine in stock, which is quite a lot. In total, Rioja is one of the areas in the world which probably has most oak barrels in one place in the entire world. I cannot prove it, but I've been to Rioja several times, and the amount of barrels where the red wine ages sometimes over 5, 6, 10, sometimes 15 years is quite amazing. I will outline what are the aging requirements as a minimum standard. So you have to know that 50 oak casks are a minimum for an aging bodega to have it in stock. And there are also minimum requirements how long they have to keep the certain qualities in the cellar. But many of them, they age longer and they have much more than 50 barrels. 500, 1,000, 2,000 is nothing rare when we look into aging bodegas in Rioja.
Online wine courses. Learn about wine online.